Today, we're talking with Scott Fehrenbacher, the CEO of Worship Road Radio, Canada's Christian national radio station. He shares how he uses AI podcasts to introduce artists and share their unique stories in cost-effective ways in record time. Let's check out the interview. Hi, Scott. Thanks so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure.
Thanks, Jason.
Could you give the audience a little bit of an intro about yourself?
Sure, absolutely. My name is Scott Fehrenbacher, and we operate in the very niche business of faith-based broadcasting. We own and manage Worship Road Radio, which is Canada's national Christian radio station. And
Very cool.
So that's what we do. We're based here in Vancouver, BC.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that. I'm going to go ahead and jump in and start asking you some questions about JellyPod and about your journey. So the first thing that I'm super curious to know is, what were you trying to accomplish before you had discovered JellyPod? You can talk about your goals or your challenges, what have you.
The whole broadcasting business is continuing to be dramatically changed with technology. And we're in the content business. Content has to be compelling. It has to be relevant and timely. And when you're in this business, every dollar matters because margins are thin. And for us to expand our content into the podcast area, traditionally it's going to take a lot of capital and it's going to take a lot of time. It's hard to be timely because you have to get your talent in place, you have to organize it, you have to do post-production. And so those were barriers for us to move forward in expanding to that kind of content, because we couldn't afford it, frankly, and also we couldn't figure out a way to make it quick and relevant so that we could put something out quickly. What JellyPod did was address both of those challenges, and in a way that still makes the content attractive and compelling for our listeners. And frankly, it's something that I never thought would happen, even with all the AI things I see. I tested JellyPod with a bit of cynical, perhaps, expectation, but what came through was very surprising. Certainly not perfect, but very helpful for our business model.
Awesome. Well, hopefully we get better over time and we hit that perfect bar, but really happy that you came at it with a cynical bar and we managed to, make you happy enough to continue using it. That's great.
Absolutely.
And like you kind of hit it on the head in terms of timeliness, speed, and like time savings. We're big believers in the fact that it's too difficult to make very narrowly relevant content quickly. So thank you for that. And I'd love to know a bit more about, why was this project important to you? Like, the establishment of a podcast for Worship Road Radio.
So our listeners look to not only have inspiring entertainment through music, but also updates on things that are important to them. And in our case, in our business, we like to feature movies that are coming out. We like to feature books. And most importantly, we like to feature new artists, emerging artists, and new songs. But to just have a DJ do a read-in and introduce it is one thing, but to actually feature a new artist in a compelling conversation that can be quickly managed, that's something that's a next level for our listeners. And frankly, almost impossible with a traditional podcast, a business model with a news upstart like we are. So what JellyPod did was really allow a smaller business to be timely, economical, but deliver content that our audience wants, and we can do it quickly. So I can get something out. If I get a release notice from one of the studios, I could have a full podcast out discussing that movie in a couple of hours, and it changes everything.
That's awesome. That's cool. In your process of, so you want to make a podcast, there were clear, that there are obvious barriers economically, you mentioned time-based, talent base. There's a lot of roadblocks. What options did you consider in achieving this this project?
Well, we looked at contracting an agency to put it together. We looked at bringing in part-time staff that we could call when we needed them. And we looked at renting a podcast studio. All of these things were, problematic from both price, timeliness, and even access to talent. And JellyPod addressed every single one of those all at once. And frankly, when I saw it, I was expecting a higher price tag. So even on the economical side, it was something that's very reachable. And, sometimes you run into a business, Jason, where you get a great experience and your first thought is, I hope these guys make it. I hope these guys are going to be successful because I'm integrating them into my business model. And that's how I'm feeling about JellyPod, because quickly you've become an integral part of how we're moving forward for our strategic plan.
Well, that means a lot. That means a lot. And we're pushing full steam ahead. Yeah, it means a lot. Thank you. In this project, sort of, in the creation of this podcast, I'm curious, what did success look like? Were there certain metrics or outcomes that you were looking for in this early evaluation, and in the future to come?
Sure. Of course, realism is probably at the peak. The realism of the voices, the ability to be flexible with the voices, the voice cloning, which frankly is scary how good that is. And so if we put a bad product out, it'd be better if we didn't put a product out at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so I needed the integration of the voices to be realistic and compelling, because it's not the voices that the listener cares about, it's what they say. So they're just a medium to get to the actual value of the content. And JellyPod delivered that. I know you're going to get better, but what it was right at the start, it's exactly what we were looking for. And frankly, didn't think would be available.
That's great. That's great. I can't wait to show this to my co-founder. He, this stuff is just so exciting for all of us. I almost feel like I wish he was here on the call with me so that he could get all this stuff as well. Because this is great to hear. How did so it's not kind of changing gears. So thanks for the context about sort of before JellyPod and your experience sort of early using it and enjoying it. How exactly sort of does JellyPod help you accomplish your project? Maybe walk us through the flow that you do. Would love to know more.
So let's say if we have a new emerging artist coming out, and frankly, we'll use an example of someone that I know from Franklin, Tennessee. So she's a new artist. Traditional Christian radio stations have a very small rotation list. It's very difficult for new artists to get on. And so when I introduce a new artist to our listeners, it's great to have some context. Who is this person? What's in their heart? What do they mean? And not do it in a 30-minute podcast, but a quick conversation. And so that allows that new artist to have a chance to connect with their audience in a way that traditional radio doesn't. But to do that, for me to put together a 3-minute or 4-minute introductory conversation about a new artist, it'd be cost prohibitive and it'd take 2 weeks to get done. I can have that done in an hour here. And it literally changes the way that we can even present our material to our listeners. And it also is very attractive for a new artist. Instead of just begging to get their song played at the middle of the night, we can feature them and introduce them and let them tell their story through a third-party podcast hosts, which is far more effective than just a DJ talking to the artist.
Got it. Very cool. Yeah, that's we always like to talk about niche content, and I'm always blown away by the new examples. So
Yeah.
super cool. Were there any in that flow that you described, or in your earliest days of using JellyPod, were there any unexpected benefits that you just totally didn't expect, and then all of a sudden showed up?
Well, we continue to learn, but I would say the one thing I didn't expect was how well the voice cloning went, because, you know, someone will tell me, hey, that was a good podcast you did. Well, I didn't do it, but thank you very much. I said, no, it sounded exactly like you. I said, well, that's good. Again, it's that AI balance where it's half scary and half really compelling. And we're using it in a way that is very attractive to our audience, and which means it's going to be great for our business model.
In those, in those earliest days, was there a big moment, like an aha moment, all of a sudden flipped to like, okay, this is what we need? Was it the cloning, or was it another part of the process?
No, it was the ease of the process. The cloning wasn't the big deal. It was, well, look at how these integrate, how I could put this in and the time I can get this out and send it to a sponsor. I'll talk to a sponsor on the phone. Let's say it's a record label. Hey, you'd like to feature Emerson Day? Okay, let's do that. Tell me the track. I'll put it together. I'll send you a demo by the end of the day. What? No, yeah, I'll send you a demo by the end of the day. Any other competitor in the space 100 times larger than us couldn't do that, but we can do that. And it allows, again, the beauty of AI is allowing the smaller companies to compete with peers that are much, much larger. And that was a major step up, allowing us to do that faster and cheaper than we ever thought we could in our original plans.
Awesome. A very like a David and Goliath moment through JellyPod.
It really was, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And I guess, in closing, if you were to tell someone who's never heard about JellyPod, kind of just, if you were to summarize what it is and what they'll get out of it, what would you say?
If you're in the storytelling business, one way or the other, whether it's sales or broadcasting, this is a tool that allows you to tell your story in a very economical but very compelling fashion, in a way that really the population loves podcasts. It's the acceptable way to pass that message on in a story form, and this is the most efficient way that I know of, and I'm just thrilled to have it. And again, I hope you guys are very successful, because we need it to be a part of our business model here.
That's incredible. Well, thank you so much, Scott. I really appreciate you stopping to chat with me and sharing your story. We're going to keep pushing ahead, and thank you so much for, for being a big part of our journey.
You're welcome. Go Mariners.
Go Mariners. All right.
All right. See ya.
See ya.